For whatever reason, they were afraid. Rest assured, I didn't end up nowhere. My parents, never really had what you might call a religious upbringing. Last week, Johnny Depp walked up unrecognized at a Hollywood gathering. For 20 years, the actor portrayed Jack Sparrow had a drastically changed appearance. He went from 230 pounds to 130, about half his body weight. Body mass. Plus, it has nothing to do with healthy eating or regular exercise. The true events of those months are being discussed in whispers amongst Hollywood insiders. Reports indicate that it was crucial in preserving his life. His detractors say it's killing him. Despite what you may have heard, the reality of his metamorphosis is even more dramatic. Johnny Depp came into this world in Owensboro, Kentucky on June 9, 1963. He was one of 4 children, and the youngest. John Christopher Depp Sr. was a civil engineer by trade. His mom, Betty Sue Palmer, had a background as a waitress before she was a stay-at-home mom. No family ever remained put for more than a short while. They were constantly on the move, and Johnny never really felt at home. For Johnny, growing up was a struggle. His mother's temper was horrible. Without provocation, she would fling objects at him and his siblings. Johnny quickly learned to duck and cover any time she entered a room. She was occasionally nice, but most days were stressful. Even though he was timid and kind, Johnny's dad couldn't shield his kids from Betty Sue's wrath. Moving around all the time made things even more stressful. According to Johnny, they relocated around 40 times before he turned 15. He was 7 years old when his family relocated to Miramar, Florida. During their nearly year-long stay at a motel, Johnny experienced a profound sense of isolation. His refuge became music. Johnny received a guitar from his mother when he was 12 years old, and he would spend hours upon hours strumming the strings as a means of numbing himself from his problems. Johnny had begun smoking and drinking by the time he was 12 years old, as well as drug use. I also had a terrible time at school. The bullies picked on him because he was distinct and unusual. There was constant stress at home. In an effort to calm down, Johnny started self-injuring and abusing his mother's nerve medications. The amount of drugs he used rose gradually. It was his method of eradicating the agony and isolation that he felt constantly. His parents finalized the divorce when Johnny was 15 years old. The rift broke him. He had to make weekly trips to his father's office to retrieve child support payments while his mother was depressed. I felt ashamed. Along with his mother and siblings, he was left to care for them. He was at a point where not even class was helping. At the age of 16, he dropped out of Miramar High School to pursue music full-time. After 2 weeks, he attempted to return, but the principal advised him to pursue his passion instead. For Johnny, that was the last statement. He joined a group named The Kids and began playing guitar. They would frequently spend the night in a friend's 1967 Chevy Impala due to their severe lack of funds. They were in demand and performed at every possible event, even opening for notable acts like Iggy Pop, the B-52s, and Talking Heads. Regardless of thrilling performances, they were perpetually impoverished. To stay afloat, Johnny and the band did whatever they could, including modeling for local tabloids. After leaving Florida in December 1983, Johnny and the band headed westward to Los Angeles. In an effort to get a record deal, they changed their name to Six Gun Method. There, things were dicey already. Johnny sold ballpoint pens to help pay the expenses, while the band slept on floors in cramped apartments. Because of how competitive the music industry was, they were never signed to a record label. Makeup artist and sister of the band's bassist Lori and Allison was Johnny's bride that year. Throughout his ordeal, Lori was there to provide him a shoulder. Despite their financial struggles, Her extensive network had the power to alter the course of his life. Nicolas Cage, who Depp met via Laurie, was already a Hollywood star thanks to roles in films like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Valley Girl. Depp and Cage became fast friends. In Cage's apartment, they would play Monopoly and discuss movies. "Why don't you try acting?" Cage once inquired of Depp, but Depp simply shrugged it off, saying, "I can't act," he continued. However, Cage persisted in pressuring him. "Perhaps you represent one of them who are unaware of it," Cage responded. Cage recommended Depp to Eileen Feldman, who sent him on his first audition, and Depp said, "That simple suggestion was the spark that changed everything." Depp had no intention of making acting his profession. "I was going to be paid $1,284 a week. I'd never seen that kind of money. They wanted me to be an actor, but I wanted to be a musician," Depp claimed during a trial decades later. Consequently, Depp found himself seated before Wes Craven to read for a part, all thanks to Laurie's link to Cage and Cage's faith in him. Glenn Lance from A Nightmare on Elm Street played that role. Depp merely attended the audition to show his support for a buddy who was interested in the part. It was Depp's acting debut. Craven first showed little interest. According to him, Depp didn't appear like a movie star. However, Craven's adolescent daughter informed her dad that Depp was ideal for Glenn after seeing his headshot. Craven gambled and cast Johnny Depp. More than Depp had ever made before, the part paid $1,284 per week. He had his film debut with it. The budget was a meager one, $8 million. However, it grossed more over $57 million globally and turning into a timeless masterpiece of horror. The iconic death scene in which Johnny Depp played Glenn, who was pulled into his bed and then burst into a blood geyser, became famous. Not only was it a challenging sequence to film, but it was also one of the most horrifying murders in horror film history. The crew constructed a revolving set to give the impression of blood shooting towards the ceiling in order to film it. The set was filled with 500 liters of synthetic blood. The lights went out as sparks soared. Everything in the room went haywire. Dangerous, chaotic, and unforgettable, that was it. Forever, Depp's career was altered by that one scene. Everyone in Hollywood took notice when it became an instant hit with audiences. Things were more convoluted in his private life. Although Depp and Laurie and Allison tied the knot in December 1983, they had already finalized their divorce by 1985. Laurie continued to be there for him even after they broke up, which was only 2 years later. She had arranged for his first audition and presented him to Nicolas Cage. Depp has never denied that she was instrumental in launching his career. Depp still wasn't certain acting was his calling, even after Elm Street. His dream of being a famous musician kept him practicing guitar. He appeared in Private Resort and other tiny jobs to pay the rent. And in Platoon as an underdeveloped figure. He played the role of Tom Hansen on December 21, 1987, nevertheless. Suddenly, he became a teen idol after appearing on Jump Street. His meteoric rise from relative obscurity to sudden fame began with this role. The road there, nevertheless, wasn't easy. The role was originally intended for Jeff Jagger by the producers. However, their dissatisfaction persisted even after filming the pilot. They required an actor capable of immersing viewers in the character's world. Not only was Depp not their first pick, but he was also unsure about his desire to work on television. Even the script was too much for him to handle at first. He was terrified of getting himself entangled in a long-term television contract. He was still coerced into filming the pilot, but his energy level skyrocketed the moment the cameras started rolling. What was next was the show. The concept of undercover police officers visiting secondary schools, and it struck a chord with the younger audience. Nearly immediately after its premiere, 21 Jump Street became Fox's first major hit, and Johnny Depp's visage became ubiquitous. Millions of people tuned in each week. Covers of magazines featured him. A deluge of fan letters arrived. It was an incredibly rapid and disorienting form of celebrity. Behind the scenes, though, Depp was completely drained. The timetable was demanding. Worked 15-hour days, which exhausted him. Even though he was known to the public as Hanson, the solemn, gloomy police officer, Depp felt completely alien to himself in that role. The character started to seem stifling. At the end of 4 seasons filming 102 episodes, Depp was exhausted and unhappy. The focus was constant, and anticipation was high. Never ceased. To encourage youth to complete their education, producers cast him in public service announcements. Since Depp had also left school, he despised the hypocrisy involved. One of the subtle ways he rebelled was by not taking part. As the show progressed, Depp became increasingly disillusioned with its message. Undercover police at school seemed like a form of propaganda to him. The concept felt improper. A lot of the screenplays also dealt with heavy topics like racism and brutality in simplistic ways, which Depp could not support. He started rejecting down $45,000 per episode, a fortune at the time, because they conflicted with his principles. Just because he felt he couldn't participate due to his conscience. On set, Depp began to revolt as his irritation level rose. He would come up with implausible story points or make up lines to spice up the monotony of the labor. Even away from the camera, his private life took a hit. After his breakup with actress Sherilyn Fenn, he felt even more confined. He became quite vocal towards the conclusion of his contract. He had already stated his intention to retire from television in an interview with the Los Angeles Times. Depp referred to himself as a puppet, and he added, "Never. I'd rather pump gas." The city of Los Angeles is financially strapped. He was still not interested in playing that part, despite the fact that the show had made him famous. He was so determined to leave that he even threw out his trailer in the hopes that Fox would fire him. However, they needed him too. Depp was finally released at the end of the 4th season after Tim Burton offered him the lead in Edward Scissorhands. It was a bold decision, but the show was still very popular and his face was. 21 Jump Street continued without him for a 5th season, but it didn't last. Ratings crashed. The series ended. However, Depp felt that walking away from that kind of success was the only way to save himself, and it was the right move. Almost immediately, he began working with top directors like John Waters and Tim Burton, revealing to audiences that he was more than just a teen heartthrob. Was soon canceled, confirming what everyone already knew, that without Johnny Depp, it simply wasn't the same. The release of Edward Scissorhands on December 14, 1990, marked the beginning of one of Hollywood's most renowned collaborations. Tim Burton, who had just directed Batman in 1989 and was at the height of his career, felt an immediate connection with Johnny Depp, who was most known for his role in the TV series 21 Jump Street. According to Burton, Depp was just like him, an outsider who had always felt like an outsider, and Depp was sick of playing the role of a teen idol. The part of Edward Scissorhands, a timid and gentle man with scissors for hands, was a perfect fit for Depp, who beat out Michael Jackson, Tom Hanks, and Tom Cruise for the part. The script was delightful, according to Depp. The character was delightful, too. Edward was me. The story held profound sentimental value for him. Tim Burton had penned Edward Scissorhands as a dark fairy tale, drawing inspiration from his own childhood in suburban Burbank. The script was penned by Caroline Thompson, and the eerie score was composed by Danny Elfman. Depp received his first Golden Globe nomination, and people started to see him as a serious actor. The role changed everything, but he was still scared during filming. He felt nervous. The film cost $20 million to make and earned more than 4 times that amount. It won a BAFTA award for Best Production Design and was nominated for Oscars and Saturn Awards. The actor's self-doubt was palpable as he rehearsed with everyone else except himself, leading Depp to believe he was failing as an actor. Edward hardly talked, and his heavy scissor hands made every movement difficult. "I really question my own talents," he confessed afterwards. However, Edward Scissorhands demonstrated that he was more than just a handsome face. His understated performance revealed an unprecedented level of depth. Hollywood was alerted. Many praised his work for its understated strength. Strange romance, suburban sarcasm, and the tragic beauty of the protagonist were all well received by viewers. That achievement was merely the beginning. The 1994 black and white homage to a horrible filmmaker who loved making movies, Ed Wood, featured Depp and Burton once again. With an authentic blend of humor and sincerity, Depp portrayed Wood and delightful, according to Depp. The character was delightful, too. Edward was me. The story held profound sentimental value for him. Tim Burton had penned Edward Scissorhands as a dark fairy tale, drawing inspiration from his own childhood in suburban Burbank. The script was penned by Caroline Thompson, and the eerie score was composed by Danny Elfman. Depp received his first Golden Globe nomination, and people started to see him as a serious actor. The role changed everything, but he was still scared during filming. He felt nervous. The film cost $20 million to make and earned more than 4 times that amount. It won a BAFTA award for Best Production Design and was nominated for Oscars and Saturn Awards. The actor's self-doubt was palpable as he rehearsed with everyone else except himself, leading Depp to believe he was failing as an actor. Edward hardly talked, and his heavy scissor hands made every movement difficult. "I really question my own talents," he confessed afterwards. However, Edward Scissorhands demonstrated that he was more than just a handsome face. His understated performance revealed an unprecedented level of depth. Hollywood was alerted. Many praised his work for its understated strength. Strange romance, suburban sarcasm, and the tragic beauty of the protagonist were all well received by viewers. That achievement was merely the beginning. The 1994 black and white homage to a horrible filmmaker who loved making movies, Ed Wood, featured Depp and Burton once again. With an authentic blend of humor and sincerity, Depp portrayed Wood, and one of the 2 Oscars went to Martin Landau for his performance as Bald Lugos in the picture. Ed Wood is often regarded as one of Burton's finest. The 1999 film Sleepy Hollow marked the return of Depp and Burton to the creative partnership. On November 19, 1999, it was released, and it was a scary spin on the well-known Ichabod Crane fable. In the role, Depp portrayed Crane, a cautious yet astute investigator. The picture took in $27 million and was nominated for an Oscar for sets a chilling mood. Once again demonstrating his penchant for daring, Depp received accolades for his portrayal of a combination of comedy and terror. Nobody could have predicted the shocking events of July 2003 when Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl debuted in theaters. Disney had been really daring. There was a belief that the pirate genre is extinct. Most were under the impression that this pirate film will also bomb like the last major one, 1995's Cutthroat Island. What followed, however, caught everyone unawares. After its first weekend in theaters, The Curse of the Black Pearl grossed $46,000. Around 6 million people in the United States. At the box office, it broke all of Disney's July records. On every continent, it was the 4th highest-grossing film of 2003 at $654 million. Instantly, Johnny Depp became a Hollywood A-lister. Captain Jack Sparrow, the character he played, was also ubiquitous. Distinct was Jack Sparrow. He had seen mostly heroic or vicious pirates on movies previously. Sparrow might be charming, unexpected, inebriated, and hilarious at times. Disney executives were concerned by Depp's unconventional choices. They were afraid his eccentric speaking patterns and demeanor would detract from the film. His fans, though, adored him. Even critics gushed over him. The Academy even gave Depp a Best Actor nomination. As far as summer adventure films go, that was unprecedented. For Halloween, some people wore Jack Sparrow costumes. They paraphrased his humorous remarks. Walt Disney produced further motion pictures. A grand total of 5 Pirates of the Caribbean feature-length films made more than $4.50 billion. Depp rose from the ranks of acclaimed character actors to become one of the world's most renowned and lucrative performers. He had already been named the highest-paid actor in the world by 2012 according to Guinness World Records. Everything had been altered for him by Jack Sparrow. The unusual motivation behind the role that Depp displayed was what truly set him apart. The Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards was the inspiration for Sparrow's rebellious spirit in his eyes. Depp compared pirates to rock stars, seeing them as free-spirited and defiant. Richards was even persuaded by Depp to portray Jack Sparrow's father in the subsequent films. Then he tacked on yet another unexpected factor. He took a cue from the cartoon skunk Pepe Le, who fancied himself quite the ladies' man. Yes, it is the reason. Sparrow always acts as if he's the center of attention, even when he's not very charismatic. He was completely unique because of his cockiness and naive self-assurance. No matter how bad things got, Jack Sparrow never wavered in his self-assurance. Depp claimed that Sparrow could dodge raindrops and rely on sheer luck to stay alive. This surprising approach was adored by fans. The experience was novel and thrilling. Eventually, it would rank among the most famous parts in contemporary film, and the paychecks continued to pour in. The first film made $654 million off an initial investment of $140 million. The 2006 sequel, Dead Man's Chest, spent $225 million but made more than $1.07 billion, surpassing all other films that year. Worldwide, even the series' lowest-grossing installment, 2017's Dead Men Tell No Tales, made $794 million. The sum of all 5 films' production costs was nearly $1. They made $27 billion, but only $4 at the box office. $50 billion. It's enormous by any measure. Similarly, Depp's profits continued to rise. He earned $10 million from the first picture. His per-film earnings reached $90 million by the 5th installment. In every, he made approximately $265 million from 5 films. It was even Depp who joked about how much he was paid. Among Disney's many other lucrative ventures were its toy, video game, and theme park ride lines. Depp was collaborating with Tim Burton on these films simultaneously. Their creative cooperation had already flourished. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which was produced in 2005, grossed $474 million globally. Many people liked Depp's portrayal of the enigmatic and bizarre Willy Wonka. Up next was 2010's Alice in Wonderland. It made more than $1 billion globally. People were flocking to see Depp, who seemed to be appearing in every imaginable setting, from fantastical realms to the high seas. He was also nominated for roles in more serious films. He received a nomination in 2004 as the kind-hearted playwright J.M. Barrie in the film Finding Neverland for an Academy Award. The role of the evil barber from Fleet Street in 2008, Sweeney Todd garnered him another Oscar nomination. Few performers can match Depp's ability to seamlessly transition between huge blockbusters and somber dramas. By the time this era came to a close, Depp had accomplished an unusual feat in Hollywood. He was making critically acclaimed and commercially successful films. From 2003 to 2010, he received 3 Oscar nominations for Best Actor. 3 of them, Jack Sparrow's, Barry's, and Sweeney Todd's. It caught me off guard to witness someone who was so popular throughout awards season and had such a good run at the box office. Love between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard was complicated from the start. While filming The Rum Diary together in 2009, they first crossed paths and started dating in late 2011. Junius Depp was born. Heard was 22 years younger than the 9th of 1963. They acted swiftly despite being in separate universes. Their engagement began in January 2014, and on February 3, 2015, they tied the knot in a modest civil ceremony at Depp's house in Los Angeles. They held their celebration on Depp's private Bahamian island a few days down the road. Guests had a blast partaking in gourmet meals, beach parties, and snorkeling. Although everything appeared to be going swimmingly on the outside, tensions were building up behind the scenes. Vanessa Paradis, the mother of Depp's 2 children, and Depp recently broke their long-term relationship. Heard was on the up and up. They were hastily entering into a significant engagement, according to others. The public quickly learned of that strain. Heard filed for a divorce on May 23, 2016, after just 15 months of marriage, claiming irreconcilable differences. There was a media frenzy. Heard sought spousal support in the amount of $50,000 per month. In January 2017, the divorce was finalized after the court denied it. She pledged to give $7 million to charity after Depp agreed to give her $7 million. Less than half of the sum really made it to the organizations, according to subsequent reports. Heard was also served with a protective order. She filed a report accusing Depp of physical abuse. Images depicting her beaten body. Officers who responded to the scene of the crime denied seeing any proof of wrongdoing, and lawyers for Depp rejected the allegations. It didn't stop the damage, though. The claims caused a raging controversy and quickly made headlines. The public's fascination in their conflict persisted. Alleged patterns of maltreatment were recounted by the Heard. In court, Depp fought back, denying everything. Their spats were so abusive that even Dr. Laurel Anderson, who had treated them as therapists in the past, called them that. A beautiful Hollywood marriage has devolved into one of the industry's most publicized and poisonous feuds. Sobriety was an issue for Depp for a long time. His reputation for being erratic and chronically late to set predated his tenure with Heard. Particularly following their split, rumors of his frequent drinking and pill use persisted. Substance abuse, including benzodiazepines and opiates, was something Depp acknowledged. An unpredictable individual was described by friends and colleagues. Studios became concerned about his personal problems, which had a negative impact on his career. Heard had already peddled an opinion piece in the Post before the end of 2018. Even though she didn't say Depp's name, everyone understood. She introduced herself as an abuse survivor and a prominent personality. Depp became a Hollywood pariah practically immediately. Even though the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise generated over $4 billion, Disney nevertheless sacked him. $5 billion globally, which made him more than $300 million. Disney did not inform Depp of his dismissal. Rather, the news broke the news. Even in Warner Brothers' Fantastic Beasts series, he was unable to reprise his role as Grindelwald. He was asked to step down by the studio following his lost a legal battle in 2020 with The Sun in the United Kingdom. He received his entire 8-figure salary despite just having completed one part for the third picture. Money couldn't have compensated for the damage. Hollywood relegated Depp even farther to the periphery. Defending himself in 2019 was Depp. He brought a defamation suit against Heard in the U.S., claiming that her opinion piece had damaged his career, and he was awarded $50 million. Heard counterclaimed for $100 million in response. This celebrity trial, which began in April of 2022, quickly rose to the status as one of the most viewed trials of all time. Millions of people watched on social media as the cameras rolled every second. Their poisonous relationship was laid bare, with graphic images and footage of their inebriated altercations. Following 6 weeks of testimony, a jury found in favor of Depp on June 1, 2022. Heard lied, they concluded. According to state law, Depp was only granted $350,000 out of a total of $5 million in punitive penalties and $10 million in compensatory damages. In settlement of one of her claims, Heard received $2 million as well. Taking his victory as validation that he was being truthful, Depp reveled in it. Johnny Depp's life took a surprising turn between 2023 and 2024. His weight loss was 100 pounds in under a year. He dropped 130 pounds, down from 230. All of his followers were stunned. This wasn't, however, a transient diet. A new way of life emerged. In an effort to eat healthier, Depp cleared off his plate. His diet consisted of whole foods such as fruits, vegetables, lean meats, and healthy fats. He also avoided foods high in processed sugar and processed fat. Every day, he collaborated with chefs and nutritionists. Not only that, but they also made sure he was strong and full between meals. Depp worked out daily as well. In his fitness routine, he ran, lifted weights, and did yoga. He regained his strength with the exercises. However, his approach to mental health care was the game changer. Depp had endured years of pressure and celebrity feuds. During this time, he discovered therapy and meditation. He stayed grounded by talking to someone and giving himself time. It allegedly saved Depp's life, according to his subsequent statements. His next big surprise for everyone was in the year 2024. Depp overhauled his look for the upcoming film Day Drinker. A thick gray beard sprouted on his face as he colored his hair silver. His next accessory were frosty blue contacts. The appearance was so unexpected that admirers looked twice. It was as if they were staring at someone different, even to those who had followed him for years. The silver fox look was a fantastic match with the character. It was daring and courageous. This look was created by Depp in collaboration with top stylists. We planned everything. Some have compared the shift to a hypnotic or haunting experience. Rumors circulated on set over his dedication to the part. There was an immediate response when the images were posted online. Comments claiming he was unrecognizable flooded social media. Entire articles in fashion journals lauded the shift. Supporters went so far as to start seeking the services of their personal stylists and barbers for beards and silver hair. For the role, Depp devoted months of training. His character's voice and characteristics were studied. Everyone was really affected by this profound dedication. His smile appeared afterwards. Fans had made fun of Depp's teeth for a long time, but in 2024, he appeared with a stunning new set of pearly whites. Due to the magnitude of the shift, it became famous. At first, some people even suspected the images were staged. The dentist's estimates put the time and money spent on the procedure at months. Though he remained mum about it, Depp's followers could notice the transformation in his self-assurance. A new grin became a sign of his comeback. The media and entertainment industries were also unable to ignore it. Pictures of him smiling and laughing at events and interviews abound. All that happiness seemed genuine. It was a moving experience for many. After seeing Depp's results, some people even went ahead and scheduled their own dental visits. Not only that, but Depp's career was also on the mend. He co-starred with Penelope Cruz in 2024's Day Drinker, directed by the renowned Terry Gilliam. Myths started to circulate that Depp was also chosen to play the role of Satan in Gilliam's upcoming 2025 blockbuster, Carnival at the End of Days. These positions were significant. Hollywood was once again prepared to accept him, as seen by these events. Those in the know hailed it as one of the decade's most unexpected comebacks. Online entertainment publications and print media were awash in news. Everyone was eager to discuss Depp's comeback. Depp was forthright about what transpired in interviews given in late 2024 and early 2025. He acknowledged that many had abandoned ship when times became tough in interviews with Rolling Stone and Esquire. "I've been surrounded by fake motherfuckers who abandoned me," he told one reporter. While Depp openly expressed his frustration and grief, he also spoke about the lessons he had learned from his experiences. He remarked that the pain of losing those folks made him stronger. Concentrating on those few who genuinely cared allowed him to find his focus. "Rebuilding my life became even more of a priority after that," he told the interviewer. The impact of Depp's statements was global. Online, he was quoted by many. One notion kept popping into his head: staying strong. His point was that resilience is more than a buzzword. Now it's just how I live my life. A lot of people were really encouraging. A lot of people were rooting for him, since they had watched his tribulations. A lot of people respected his candor,